social media posts out, but here we are, the start of the HeroesHearth free agent tournament. I am joined by Krushinator here. Those of you who were at our most recent cast may remember Crush. He did the first half of the Onyx pre-CCL in-houses. Krushinator, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great. Glad to be back. Should be a fun set here. We've got a few sets today, going through this free agent exhibition tournament.
Yeah, remind me how many we have. I think we have 4 best of 3s lined up.
It'll depend on the timing because there's some starting in half an hour. It seems to be that we're going to be able to jump into stuff. You know, if it's a 2-game set, if it's a 3-game set, we'll be able to find something along the way. But
Yeah.
I'd imagine we'll get 3 best of 3s in.
Yeah, there's gonna be, a lot of jumping back and forth, and it's not really, like, I don't know, they might start while we're in the middle of a game. We may even have a little bit of dead time, that's gonna be a nice little break between the two of us, maybe after a series or two, so we'll see. There are multiple concurrent series that are going to be going on. As we go into Towers of Doom for our first draft, Game 1, I'm showing my cursor on stream, which is not something the caster usually does. And now it is no longer, but here we are, Towers of Doom. Some pretty star-studded rosters overall here. I gotta say, between the two of these, I don't want to say that I'm rooting for anybody, but I'm rooting for the left side here, blue team.
We've got, ZaneHyde over there on blue. We've got Funz, become somewhat of a household name through season 1 of CCL. And just there's a lot of folks that we've seen in the first round of free agents, and some folks from amateur tournaments like NGS, like Heroes Lounge, that you'll definitely recognize in a lot of names today.
Oh yeah, these are players that I saw in the last round of in-houses. These are players that I've seen making content for the game in the comments sections and my own Storm League ladders. These are some mainstays over the years, like TigerJK has been around a while. On the scene. I know Marlow is always the guy snatching Tracer from me on ladder. He seems to. I'm always like, oh, I'm not gonna first pick Tracer, right? I'm gonna pick it in the 2-3, and then no, Marlow snatches it away from me before I can even get to that. So, you know what? On second thought, maybe I am rooting for the red team as we get into this. But I am looking forward to this. I do want to see, what is Marlow's hero pool going to look like? Will he pull out the Tracer? Is it going to be banned at any point? Or am I the only guy cool enough to warrant Tracer bans? Who knows? As Nano fans out the Maiev, when you have a star-studded lobby like this, taking out such a strong hero and coordinated just makes sense, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, Maiev enables you to do all sorts of shenanigans on the map. Hogger can get so much done on his own. Any camp in a fraction of a second, double soaking, contributing to team fights, crowd control. There's just nothing that Hogger just can't do right now. So when we see, it's the same thing over on the left, Uther, Sonya. They're just forces to be reckoned with. And it's not even, I don't want to say it doesn't take a lot of skill to play them. What I'm saying is these are heroes that everyone is aware of and everyone's playing right now. So it's something you've got to account for in your drafts.
Yeah, I gotta say, the current meta that we're in right now, after that Lúcio high 5 buff, and with Uther in the current state that he's in, and common popular perception, it's really interesting to have healers taken so early, because for a long time, the conventional logic, as we see a Malf picked up in the first rotation, now a healer selected in both first rotations for both teams, but it's just so interesting. For a long time, we had healers conventionally being picked middle, maybe late in the draft, suited to their damage types, to their kill coordination, to the enemy's damage types, what works best against that. But no, we're going right into it here. Uther, a lot of times an early pickup, because it's like, oh, is this going to be a burst-oriented solo heal Uther? Is this going to be a tank Uther? It's definitely a little bit multifaceted, as we actually see Sven maybe wanting to take the Vikings before a potential third ban. And that is something that I personally know. I can tell you this from experience. ZaneHyde tilts out of his mind playing versus Vikings on this map. So that's going to be a fun element of this game. I'm looking forward to that.
It's a tough matchup, especially if you don't have Sonya on your side.
Yeah, with no Sonya, not deleting any people with the leaps, because that hero is busted, just like Lúcio with that new high 5. The ability to cleanse himself 5 times. absolutely bonkers. It really just eliminated a lot of the tools capable of taking him out. And there, it's not quite a first man, so Marlow clearly not quite the same animal as I am on Tracer. You know, I get it.
It's a good ban
But
here.
there's the ban.
You know, Marlow plays a good Tracer. That is known, and you've already picked up the Vikings, so reducing the options for Viking hunters is definitely the way to go here.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at that. I gotta say, Tracer typically feels pretty good into Lúcio, into the Lost Vikings. I would feel pretty comfortable picking it up, and it's such a scary last pick. I particularly like holding a flex pick for last, like what we see here from the blue team with HeroesHearth still at the very end. Just waiting on that flex pick, because I feel like there's so many that you can pick from the final pick that really can shut down an entire enemy comp. Did they go not enough hard CC? Well, then a Zeratul or Genji can come into the play. Did they go too skill shot reliant and immobile? Well, then a Tracer can come into play. You know, there's so many things that you can pick from that final position that can punish even minor weaknesses in a draft. So I want to see, is something like that going to come out from HeroesHearth right here?
Their camp clear is a little bit light, though Chromie does make up for that a little bit. Maiev and Anub'arak in the front, I could see something like a Hanzo, even something like even a Rainer to have that pushback and just have constant damage onto the front line. I'm interested to see what HeroesHearth is looking at here.
What are we going to get from HeroesHearth? That's going to be a Thrall.
Melee.
Wow, okay.
Did not see that coming into the Maiev.
Yeah, a bit of a squishy character. Melee might clump a little bit, bringing on a third melee onto the team. Not a crazy high amount, but into the Maiev, definitely a consideration. Cassia, he's also an exceptionally easy blind target, and I gotta say, one thing I'm thinking about is that this blue team is squishy. And when you have a squishy team with a Malfurion who does not excel at burst heal, all of a sudden, you have to worry about Valkyries, you have to worry about Maiev just killing everybody, you have to worry about Anub'arak's chain burst. I gotta say, this red team right here, I'm looking at them and they look good. I'm thinking that that is gonna be a big threat on the red team, or on the blue team, from the red team this game. I'm looking to see some burst kills.
I'm looking at the Thrall pick and I'm thinking it's gotta be for locking down Cassia. Cassia is the main damage here over on the red side. If they can take out the Cassia, they'll be relying almost solely on Maiev to pick up these kills. And an extra root on top of Malfurion could be enough to just peel that Cassia armor off and take out the main damage.
Well, I gotta say, that's all very interesting, but to get into our introductions, over here on the red side, we have nobody playing nobody. And what do we have over on the blue side, Krushinator?
On the blue side, we still have nobody, though we have reports that we may have somebody soon.
I'm really excited to see what the Void currently coming out of the red side can do coming into this game. The total lack of any minions, motion, sound whatsoever. It's all very interesting and intriguing as we see ZaneHyde dipping out of the game, looking to join that vast emptiness that really encompasses this entire game and my life. As we continue forward here, the the two teams trading advice back and forth here, and it looks like a couple memes. 2 minutes, Zane fixing a wire has been called. Zane consistently a problem player. Shouldn't be picked up in CCL if you ask me. Definitely, I don't know what's wrong with the guy. Cat on Fire has also been called.
Oh no. That really does mess with those wires. The cats just get all up in there. Oh, what a disaster.
Yep. Well, things are off swimmingly as always, and as we all know, this is that moment in time where you just start looking at the map and seeing what you've never noticed before.
I'm looking at the blue core, and it looks far more decorated than the red core currently.
Let's see. So blue core, you know, we got some pizzazz. We got the Raven Lord. Let's go over and take a look at the red core. And yeah, I gotta say, a little bit more of a minimalist take on things. You know, I'm liking the architecture of it. He's got spikes, and he mixes it up between the spikes with more smaller spikes going around in a circle. It makes a lot of sense, you know? I think that
it's a very horde aesthetic. You just
put
the
for
spikes
sure
on the spikes, and you get into it.
You've got the angels holding the torches. You've got candles all over the place. Really a nice lit ambient atmosphere. setting up for this game. Should only be about another 30 minutes before we get on in here as we continue forward. Let's see right here. Is there anything else?
I'm checking out the towers.
Can we talk in chat? No, we only have observer chat, Ripperoonie.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lumberyard on the top left. I'm seeing a mining encampment on the top right. This is we got some themes going on up in here.
You know, it really makes you wonder, what use would deities of the Nexus really have in materials like wood or stone?
You know, the deities, they often, they control the mortal races so they can do those things for them. For some reason, the gods just can't figure out this make my own statue deal. Because that seems to be their main focus, at least in mythology, is you present yourself as a god so that the people will build the statues for you. And I figure you need the materials for that.
That does indeed make sense. Gotta spruce it up a little bit as we see some identical statue architecture on the left and right team. Both teams opting for a mirror strategy at this point, one holding an orange torch, one holding a blue torch. Sven asking, so we restart PCs and then immediately dips from the game. I gotta say, the disconnect metagame here has really just been back and forth. This is some high-octane gameplay, you know? It's, and then we see Nano also dipping as well, possibly signaling the start of an exodus. TigerJK seemingly not on the same page, possibly some miscommunication from the red team here, as TigerJK now conferring with the opposing team, letting them know something about the Discord server has been bugging for them lately. Possibly going to need to switch over to a different voice service, maybe even the one in-game, but they are randomly DCing at the moment.
Very, very odd. I mean, it is a pretty common IT solution. When something doesn't work, you just start turning off and turning on completely unrelated devices until your primary problem solves itself. And we'll see if it works out for him here.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm just still really just drinking in the map, you know? I gotta get all my details right here.
There's so many.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be weird, like, to put your heart and soul into making this nice ambient atmosphere, and then feeling like nobody ever looks at it, you know? It's like, oh, everybody just walks past it without really giving it a second thought. But, like, somebody worked hard on this.
You can see little ghostly figures inside all of the little architecture working away.
Yeah, and there's, like, always spectators at the top. I always like that element, because it's like, oh, you actually, it's a game within a game, you're being watched by the royals or nobles or elder or whatever. On second thought, this is probably just a variant skin. I'm looking at the dudes at the top by the top sapper camp watching from the cliffs. First of all wearing the same thing, not exactly the most inspired getup, and I'm 99% sure this is a variant skin of some sort, perhaps slightly modified. They cannot fool me.
Looks like some kind of a bat helm. Interesting. Does look like a very variant face, I will give you that.
Admins have come in trying to help as we continue in our quest to start game 1. See right here, I gotta say I'm seeing several open camps around the map, perhaps. I don't know, I can't even riff about this, man. This is just...
We're running out of stuff.
We're running out of stuff! Let's go!
We need a game. That's okay. We'll figure it out. This is something that I've not come across in amateur competition, which is voice issues in Discord. So to see it at this level is truly amazing.
Yep, absolutely. You would have thought that they would have just learned how to outplay the voice issues by now. Really not looking good for their chances in CCL Season 2. It's very unprofessional, I gotta say. Just confirming we are right. Whoa, let's go! On the red team, Void rapidly disappearing as we see actual players for once in our lives. ZaneHyde has rejoined the game, Pog Champion. TigerJK is gonna be playing that Lúcio. LUJustinCase hopping on that Anub'arak the Bug. DeadWish playing that Maiev. Cassia being played by Cassia. And Baylog and Eric and Olaf
gonna be we don't have everybody back. That's the idea.
Still metagaming super hard.
Tiger double trolling. You guys said ready.
Question mark spam in the chat. There was definitely, I saw the red ready. This was noted.
Yep, both teams did indeed confirm that we are ready. Jules, the commissioner of the CCL, has been name dropped at this point. We don't have 2 EU players. Smile has been dropped by Tiger. In case you were curious, oh, there's a ready. In case you were curious, Cassia is currently being played by, I gotta look past the chat, HTPNano, European Grandmaster player, if I remember correctly. And the Lost Vikings will be played by Sven in the year 2025.
We'll figure it out. It will be started. We're starting. All right, introducing the blue team. On the left, we've got Ukkii on the D.Va. ZaneHyde playing the MaiGunnar on the Malfurion. HeroesHearth is playing Thrall. And Marlow on the Chromie.
Well, you know, if you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer linked to asbestos exposure. And it's gone. All right. Yes, we step.
But what number do I call?
As we get into these games, someone asks, are you entering the free agent draft? I think you are confused. CCL is where the good players go. As we see TigerJK getting absolutely chunked by Chromie, but similarly, HeroesHearth speedrunning first blood right now at the moment, finds himself in a bit of an unfortunate situation. Lands a root, but it's not going to be enough. An early death, and I gotta say, after that one, Krushinator, I'm feeling like his chances of getting drafted have dropped to null.
I mean, when you're talking about deaths per minute, which you can, put through the whole series, put over multiple games, getting one death at the 40-second mark is a tough one to come back from.
Yep, I mean, that's 2 deaths per minute.
Quarter? Is that a third?
Yeah, that's a quarter.
Eric go down?
I believe every partial death, every Viking is a quarter, and then D.Va's mech is a half, and her body is the other half. It's actually kind of an interesting setup. What do we got here?
Sven, we're going to be able to get 2 Vikings into the team, but Eric won't be able to be drafted, unfortunately, as we see a camp invade possibly gone wrong here. Anub'arak going down to that Mei zone control, coming out from ZaneHyde.
Well, blue team bringing out the bug swatter as Anub'arak just steps right in and gets immediately just gonked by the blue team. That's a real onomatopoeia. I did not make it up. DeadWish stepping forward, and oh my god, D.Va with her 2nd kill on a mech already. I asked this D.Va player how to pronounce their name. They told me Google Translate gets it right, and Google Translate resembled cookie. Ukkii is, I believe, the correct way.
So I had it wrong every time. We're going to go with Ukkii.
Yeah, I went for Ukkii or Ukkii, and it turns out it's more of a like cookie. Bookie, that kind of thing, yeah.
Got it.
It's some, yeah, I don't know. Either way, red team currently clearing out the sappers as they are a little bit behind. Vikings seemingly getting bullied out a little bit by Ukkii, as we see the blue team ZaneHyde stepping onto that soak, but a heavy red rotation toward him. He's going to back off, not seeing red anywhere on the map. He knows that he doesn't want any of that business, does not want to be given the just-in-case treatment where he got bopped earlier. Now a red side rotation downward. Keeping it moving.
Altars are starting to come up here. D.Va's still just plugging away there on the top wall, taking advantage of the very low damage that Vikings are able to put out in this point in the game. I'm interested to see what red side is going to do for a setup, just in case. Looking for funds there, counter Feral Spirit. And that Malfurion route into, well, we've got Mei in the mid right now, but we saw the previous setup where it was the roots into the Blizzard. I feel like that's going to be a big problem for Anub'arak this game.
Oh yeah, Anub'arak hates being poked, notably one of the most squishy tanks in the game, as we see HeroesHearth with the sound wave knocked toward the red team, but he's not afraid. He's actually going back in, knowing that the bug is very low. DeadWish doing what they can. TigerJK, though, however, everybody's missing health, and this is without the assistance of ZaneHyde in this bottom fight. Still so much damage coming out. Marlow actually getting a kill. 2 kills, 1 for each team. Malfurion and Anub'arak both going down. However, we now have blue 2 tanks up in the top left. Blue yet to secure an altar so far here. They definitely want to get at least theirs, not go down 12 points right at the start. Both teams eyeballing their sapper camp, however, but this top fight is still going to go on for a while, as the Vikings, this is where we can really see them evolve into a nuisance.
Absolutely. We've got Eric just waiting to interrupt on any attempt. Olaf has been soaking that top lane with Balog coming in for some poke damage. Looks like blue side is going to wipe up the Eric, and we'll finally get a channel on that top left.
Well, that's one of the later completions of the first objective that I've seen in quite a while. Level 8 actually being achieved by the time that shots hit the core. Blue side still not even taking their sappers yet, as DeadWish attempts a little bit of a tug, setting up for just in case. Not quite successful in yanking back funds. Both teams now setting up minor XP advantage starting to formulate for the red team, and I gotta say, if a Vikings team can secure a lead, getting back out of that snowball situation is so difficult. So this is definitely gonna be a time where this is actually a little bit pivotal in setting up the rest of the game for the blue team.
Absolutely. Right now we see red doing some heavy rotations. Blue able to finally pick up their camp. Uh-oh, D.Va could be in trouble here. Lúcio is coming up to join the Vikings. Here comes Maiev and Cassia as well. Ukkey, I'm going to get that right one of these times.
Cookie! Cookie!
Not going to have the bomb baited out there, but will give up that top camp, as we see blue now using their sappers to really lay the pain down on this bottom wall.
Yep, you rotate. Oh, that is a beautiful time trap timing from Marlow, so as to interrupt just in case a stun combo. However, HeroesHearth already setting a record for most deaths by one player so far in in-houses today. Really interesting stuff with the astoundingly high number of 2. What am I saying? Anub'arak actually already had 2 before that, as we see both teams pushing it.
Thrall's done some good work in setting up the kills onto Anub'arak, as we see the Valkyrie coming on in. Nice pull onto Malfurion, taken out in the bottom lane. Marlow not quite able to follow up with a counter kill. But, nope. I mean, Thrall's been doing some great work getting the setups, but to do so has to move right into Maiev's Umbral Bind range, so it almost always turns into at least a trade situation.
And I gotta say, the squishiness and the lack of anti-burst coming out from the blue team, I think starting to show there. I predicted a Valkyrie before the game, no big surprise that it did come out, as Sven attempting to run away, actually barely gonna survive, as Eric never mind, there's Ukkey on this scene. Sven gonna cap it out, but I honestly think that short of Cassia just straight up missing her Valkyries, I think nearly every cast is going to end up with a kill. Anub'arak burrowing past Maze Blizzard here, blue team attempting to take their own bell tower back, but red team is on the case.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of save potential coming on out from the blue team here. The ice wall could possibly, come in with a save, but that's a tough one to cast in the right spot. Malfurion's not going to be able to bring in much of a save, so I think you've got the call there. Valkyrie is going to be very deadly, and it is up and available already.
Already up and available, and even in a position like this, blue team has to think about it. If they play a little bit too far forward, they can always get chained with the Umbral Bind off of their own minions. Valkyrie, a constant concern. I gotta say, I once farmed Michael Udall when he picked Chromie into my Cassia on this very same map, because Chromie, every time she casts, she self-roots. So her Q, her Sandblast, if countered correctly, can actually lead to a near-guaranteed land of Valkyrie. Of course, Marlow, knowing this, Marlow is a Grandmaster player consistently after all, has opted for the timeout with his level 11 talent, able to successfully dodge Valkyrie if he gets the opportunity there, something that Cassia surely has to be aware of.
Got to be looking out for that. Anub'arak may be looking for that timeout as well to possibly burrow in, but it's such a long timer that trying to put in an Anub'arak combo off of a timeout is very, very difficult. Nonetheless, you got to be looking for it so you can find your engages, and just in case is actually going to find something onto Gunnar here. Maiev looking for a pull, will find it onto Funz. The root is going to come out onto Anub'arak.
Oh, there's a cocoon.
And we've got ourselves a full 3v4, but there's the Valkyrie. Gunnar actually got pushed out somehow. I think Lúcio with the push, but ultimately DeadWish finds the pull and finds the kill.
Well, there was actually a Valkyrie that was intended for Marlow coming out of Anub'arak's cocoon, instead picking up Malfurion. Marlow successfully using the timeout so as to dodge the Umbral Bind yank from DeadWish. Smart play right there, limiting their trade to just 1-for-1, just in case actually finding himself dangerously low, needs to run out of there. DeadWish similarly in danger. ZaneHyde actually jumping under tower range, continuing to tank it. Cryo Freeze not going to be enough to save his life. Nano taking some poke on the way up, but red team's got to feel good about that exchange overall. However, it does not seem like they can hold on to this camp for much longer. This tower.
Yeah, it looks like blue side is going to finally get up there with this wave, take the tower back. We saw even all 3 Vikings from Sven with that Nordic attack squad buff was coming on down here to try to take this tower back. And in the meantime, we saw Ukkii grab this top tower. Now working on the Sapper camp once again.
Yep, Ukkii consistently just bullying those Vikings in lane. I couldn't help but notice, you know, just over and over, that was some of the fastest tower siege that I've seen in a solo lane matchup on Towers of Doom. It felt like he was just moving forward at times, as we see yet another Viking, 2 Vikings actually, drop to Ukkii in the top lane as they seek to secure 3 Sappers in, trying to lower the core health lead experienced by red team a little bit here. Funz actually getting comboed out, but that is a beautiful Nature's Cure from Gunnar, so as to buy him just enough safety to escape. That is perfectly done right there. I always have my mouth players say, oh, you know, it's not a real cleanse, it doesn't give unstoppable. Well, it was enough right there to make the difference. Blue team enjoying a level 16 advantage as they continue the chase forward. ZaneHyde now no fear whatsoever, continuing to move forward. There's going to be a blizzard. Still level 16 advantage, still up a person. The Anub'arak is down. Blue team feels good about this invade.
Absolutely, with Ukkii just controlling the Vikings in the off lane, not allowing the flanks to come on in. The 4v4 has been going blue team's way, and Funz might be pulled yet again. ZaneHyde with a nice split there on the icing is going to get Funz to safety. And now it looks like we might actually have a full 5v5 on these 2 bottom altars, but level 16 is here for the blue team.
Yep, still level 16 being enjoyed by the blue team at the moment. Red team not quite at such a pivotal power spike themselves. Root from Funz does land on a TigerJK, but not in such a way as to secure any significant damage. Sven now backing off a little bit. Ukkii nearing a bomb actually does have their own self-destruct. We see some combos going out onto Funz. Cage has come out from Maiev. The vengeance all over the place, but not actually leading to much right now as we see D.Va going down, Maiev in return. 1-for-1 trade plus an, they're not dwarves, the Vikings, plus a Baylog. As we see Nano getting run down. Beautiful Feral Spirit from Funz. TigerJK also similarly finished off by ZaneHyde. Now JustinCase limping away with his little bug legs, getting absolutely demolished. 10 kills to 6 now out of nowhere in favor of the blue team. Little bit of a rough early game, but they are not out of it at all.
Just roots after roots coming out from Malfurion and May and Thrall, and it's just every time we see red trying to reposition, they just get caught out. And now we're looking at a possible some brief 6 cap as Sven in the top lane is going to take this top tower while blue team grabs the mid. And now they, you know, it's going to be really hard for red to find the right rotations as we get into the late game here.
Yep, and there is indeed the 6 cap getting a singular shot towards the red side, but most importantly, the map control afforded to you by having these bell towers down is so valuable. The bottom fort alone typically will give you a great deal of control over both the bottom turn-in, but also the middle turn-in, by giving you a viable path through the Sappers, as we see Gunnar actually, wow, yanked in by the Umbral Bind right into the Valkyrie, is gonna be able to walk away. Full duration Tranquility coming out, still not dead yet, so still actually gonna be okay. ZaneHyde going in, gets stunned by JustinCase. So far, no deaths from either side in this extended skirmish, but it may not be over yet. There's an ice wall.
Ice wall coming on in here. ZaneHyde trying to stop JustinCase from retreating, but Sven just peppering up that back line with those Eric shots. Looks like there's not going to be a continued engagement here. Ukkii on the top side is trying to take this top tower back as we're entering our second triple altar phase. Well, those micro missiles aren't going to hit, but the autos are going to be enough to stop the top right channel.
And while the Vikings have their dance with D.Va and Chromie in the top lane, we're seeing actually a 4-on-3 as we see a 4-man root from Funz completely securing his own safety and actually getting a positive damage trade in the process. LUJustinCase now rooted yet again. ZaneHyde on the scene. There's TigerJK as well. Oh, Valkyrie barely lands on HeroesHearth. Actually yanked back by DeadWish. Consistently a lot of damage coming out right here as well. ZaneHyde dropping very low. Will cryo freeze in the middle of the enemy team. Time trap, ice wall. It's all coming into play. TigerJK high-fiving to get right on out of there. Ooh, does get hit by Marlow though. Nano carefully, deftly avoiding the sandblast. Balog went down somewhere. Where? I have no idea. Everybody's low all the time. Chromie just popping those shots, killing all the Vikings, all three. Add on, that's actually a full team wipe in favor of blue.
Body ace.
Whew.
HeroesHearth's control of the Frostwolf resilience in these engages is really, really masterful. Like a lot of Thralls I play with, and the Thrall that I play particularly, you just hit your buttons, right? You just go in and hit your buttons. But if you're able to know where those stacks are coming from and use those abilities with the healing in mind, I mean, you see it here. HeroesHearth is getting dove by 4 people and coming out almost healthier on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, turns out that when you just hit 4 people with all your skill shots, they tend to go pretty well. And now blue team up 3 levels, 21 to 18. They're going to get the invade on the Sappers. That's a whole bunch of shots on the core. Red team still, they actually did manage to take back mid at the moment. Trying to claw their way back into this. It's still anybody's game once they can manage to get 20. But with Sappers pushing it in bot lane and level 20 advantage, no chance of Red to contest it. Instead, actually opting to make a trade, allowing the 3 Sappers to damage their core in exchange for taking out the top fort. Level 20 for both teams is coming soon. There will still be at least one major pivotal fight to decide this game.
With that bottom control, blue side is going to be setting up for this next bottom objective. Without 5 towers, they won't be able to end off of just this one channel. But bringing the enemy's core down to 1 opens up all sorts of fun options for blue to try to end this game. JustinCase able to get away from the Chromie damage. Sven coming around the outside is going to be pushed back by HeroesHearth. But it looks like JustinCase is looking to start up this fight.
I gotta say, I wonder if that was fully intentional. ZaneHyde blizzarding on himself for the cocoon. If that was on reaction, that was absolutely stellar. Breaking his own cocoon, JustinCase getting absolutely zoned out of this fight very quickly. Sven popping that Nordic attack squad, trying to take out HeroesHearth in the backline, but his Vikings will go down. Play again, popping, however, Nano killed over on the right side of this fight, and I believe we actually see a summer anthem coming out from Lúcio at the moment. Unfortunately, not negating any of his teammates' deaths with it, as we see 2 Vikings go down. Eric running on out of there with his little legs. DeadWish running back in. HeroesHearth, I'm not sure why I'm saying his name as he goes in for the root. Marlow was actually the one being yanked. DeadWish backing off. Anub'arak with the stun onto ZaneHyde, popping that cryo freeze. DeadWish looking for it desperately as JustinCase, oh my god, so low, even by his own death zone, still feeling so threatened. And the area control, the burst, the follow-up from Chromie, absolutely showing through in a massive way right here, and it is reflected in the stats. Ooh.
Look at just the knowledge coming out from ZaneHyde, knowing this is exactly where they'd have to be. Brings up the ice wall, and that is going to be game number 1, going over to blue.
I gotta say, that was very well done. They always went exactly where they needed to go on the blue team. It felt like they were just landing all their skill shots, to be honest with you. Chromie consistently hitting who she needed to hit. HeroesHearth, you see him knowing exactly when to time those roots so as to get the maximum value, hit as many targets as possible, even actually opting for feral resilience, the block targets, as we pull up our talents here. So we see actually the block at 4 coming out from HeroesHearth, a very survivalist mentality coming out there, knowing that, hey, if he can just weather the storm, survive the burst with the Anub'arak team, Anub'arak is going to get chunked out, won't be able to stick around the whole time, and then they can be able to turn the tides. That is consistently what we saw, as well as a strong, dominating topside presence from Ukkii. So well played by the blue team to take this game 19-6 in game 1.
Really, really good stuff there. We saw Ukkii, the full metal on 1, the rush down on 4, dealing a ton of damage to those Vikings in the off lane. One thing I wanted to point out here was Marlow's Chromie taking the Blessing of the Bronze there at level 20 or 18, as we see for Chromie. Having everyone else gaining basic abilities recharging faster I mean, that's keeping Thrall alive through the Frostwolf resilience stacks. That's letting Mei cast those long cooldown abilities much more often. Malfurion, whose healing is generally slower, now gets to use that Moonfire more often. It's, you know, I love that pick for these fights that ended up not being, you know, just snap picks. It was longer fights. And I think the Blessing of the Bronze really, really helped out there rather than something like the Pierce that we usually see.
Yeah, I gotta say, you always love it when you see someone playing with a team mentality, looking to provide some utility to those around them, rather than just trying to hard carry themselves. Still managing to top hero damage, even with a rather selfless level 20 pick, 18. And that was pretty good right there. J-Del Rio calling in the chat, I imagine Fun saying, okay, I died, gonna take block. So you remember.
There's some of that. There's a little bit of that.
As he was first blooded by the bottom turn in. I also gotta say, trying to fight into Thrall's earthen shields, those AoE shields on the entire team, whoa, it's like, oh god, what's that one? Storm Shield, over and over and over again, over a massive area. The amount of effective health granted towards your teammates with earthen shields at 20 makes team fighting an absolute nightmare. Well done,
Yeah, like
by Blue
that's
Side.
way too much for Cassia and Maiev to get through. So you know, that's just so much time that you're just not really able to get through the health bars.
Yep, the burst unfortunately just not really playing out exactly how Red Side wanted, and every advantage that they got seemed to be fleeting, while they truly struggled to get back any lost tempo in the top lane, losing out in the aggregate. Even if they enjoyed a brief moment of controlling bottom lane, top lane, once it was gone, really, and from the start of the game, seemed to just be out of their control. Red side taking advantage, blue side taking advantage, knowing where on the map they're strong. Good stuff so far, and now we just got to see if they can sweep the series, or if red team's going to go ahead and even this one up.